All right, dude. We are finally there. We are literally like 2 videos away from going wheeling. So today, we're going to button up all the stuff in this cab so I can put the cage back in. We're going to put the 4-wheel drive shifter back in. We're going to put the front drive shaft in so we got 4-wheel drive again. We are going to sound deaden the roof so it doesn't sound like a tin can when it rains. But before we can put the sound deadener in, we're going to sit there and fill in all those trim holes from the factory screws because none of that plastic interior is going back in. And I'm actually going to MIG weld today. We're not breaking out the TIG welder for that. We're going to use the very first MIG welder that I ever owned that I learned how to weld on. It's a little Lincoln 135 to fill up all those trim holes. But we're doing all of this while the roll cage is out because I can actually get to everything easily and it would be a nightmare to do with the cage in there. So that's today. I got another little surprise update for Mr. Jones at the end of this video, so stick around for that. Alright, so we're going to start off by fixing all these screw holes. This is just 3 easy ones to see by example, but they're all along the roof. They're all down the bed rails. So what we're going to do, because if you feel over these, you can feel a bump. And this is, honestly, this is something most people would skip doing. We're going to do this the right way because it's going to bug the heck out of me if I don't. So if you feel over this, you can feel that when the screws drive in there, they pull the metal out, right? So this is all raised a little bit. And you need clean metal to weld to. So if you just sand this down till it's clean, that whole edge where it is, because this is all pulled out, when you sand that down, it's going to like knife edge the edge all around that. So when you hit that with a nice hot little tiny tack weld to start filling those in, it's just going to blow it away and you're going to create a bunch of problems for yourself. Or you can try to prevent that by turning your welder down, but I don't like doing tack welds with cold welds, right? I want it to be nice and hot and melt in there and be solid. So we're going to take a punch that's got a tapered end. We're going to put it in there. We're not going to beat the heck out of these things, but we are going to knock this back pretty close to flat. Then we'll take that to bare metal and then we can tack it up and then grind it smooth. And we're going to do that, oh Lord, about 700 times. Alright, so next we're going to fill these notches that I put in these bed rails. When I designed my cage, I wanted the tube to follow this real far out. So I cut these little notches to make everything fit the way that I wanted. But I'm not just going to leave these open like this. Like right here, the roll cage is coming through there nice and tight. So we're going to take these flat sheets. This has a little lip on the bottom. So I'm going to take the bottom edge of this and we're going to bend it at 90 degrees, and then I'm going to take it over to my shrinker stretcher. I'll show you how that works in a bit. We're just kind of going to show you the basics of how they work right now, and then in the future with a lot of the stuff we're going to get into, we're going to be using stuff like that a lot more, so we'll get a lot more in depth with that type of metal work moving forward with the channel. But we're going to bend this in a 90. We're going to use the shrinker stretcher to put the curve in this with the flange to match this, and then we'll final trim it to match these contours so the lip on the bottom's the same and the contour on the top is the same. And then we'll weld this in, and then I can go through, clean all these welds up, clean all these welds up, make it look like nothing ever happened in there. So these are what's called a shrinker stretcher. This one's a shrinker, this one's a stretcher. And what it is, you've got this lever. You can make these on better mounts that have foot mounts. Mine are just a lever. But as you squeeze this mount, you can see these jaws right here. They squeeze the sheet metal together and then stretch it apart. Whereas the shrinker does the exact opposite, right? Comes together and then squeezes it together. So what that does, like we're going to have our 90 degree on that flange, we're going to stretch that flange, and this metal up here isn't stretching. So if you stretch that bottom flange, it forces it to cause a curve in the panel. And we're going to force it to cause a curve in the panel that matches the notch. And then it'll fit in there. Trim it to fit. Bob's your uncle. Alright, so I think I made my lips a little too big on the first one. I wasn't accounting. It's been a little bit since I've used one of these. I wasn't accounting for the fact that when you have a wider lip, my thought was having the wider lip's going to have more surface area there. The problem is if you shrink this whole lip evenly, everything's in a curve, right? So, or stretch evenly, right? So this outer edge needs to do more stretching than this inner edge does. This doesn't need to move nearly as far as it does out here. So I was going out about it a little bit the wrong way because I'm a little rusty with one of these, but not for long. So we got a shorter lip on here now, and it should get us the change that we want a lot quicker and have a much better result when it's all done. Because those other ones with the longer lip, I got them stretched to where they were really close to where I needed it to be. This is working way better. I hate it when I get in my own head and I like overcomplicate simple things when I'm building stuff by like trying to think too many steps ahead when I don't need to be doing that. But we all do it. We all do it. Let's see. Get a little bit more and we'll test fit. Working much better. And these are those things you just kind of got to play with them a little bit and figure out, you know, how yours works. These are super inexpensive ones. These are like Harbor Freight, which is basically, you know, the same as like a Vivor one or a Wing Chang Chong one on Amazon or something. They're all made by the same 10-year-olds. So we're gonna rough in this top because it's bending really good here, but I left this top so long that it's wanting to stay flat up here. So I'm gonna chop this down shorter, get this thing closer to our final size. Then we can finalize this, but as you can see how quickly you get a decent amount of shape into a flange. Now we're going to switch because I closed this down a little too much. So this one's the shrinker, and what it does is it squeezes it back together. To undo what you just done did. Figured I'd bring you in for this. So we're gonna get this in here. This flange lip on mine is a little bit longer than this one, but if you can see on here all these little teeth marks, that's where the shape is. That's as close as I could get my shrinker stretchers into this corner because the jaws on them have like a lip. So if I cut too much of this off, I'm gonna cut off what's holding this shape and it'll want to start flattening back out again because it's stretched right here, which has forced all of this into the shape that it's in. So if I cut that off or I cut some of it off, it will. Plus this is going to be, the flange will be a little bit long, but it's going to be in here, and this is all going to end up with an aluminum panel on it eventually. So I think it'll be all right. And then, like I said, I kind of cut these out by hand. This curve isn't perfect, but this fit is really, really close. And I'm not worried about it warping or anything because I'm welding next to a bunch of stuff that just, it can't warp anywhere. It doesn't have anywhere to go. I've got a flange here. I've got a 90-degree break here. This is all doubled up. I got a flange here. This is a curve. Like there's all these shapes all coming together in this little tiny area, which leaves the metal nowhere to go. So I'm just trying to get these bottom ones lined up as best I can. We're going to tack it in the middle, and then I can kind of force the corners to be a little bit better. Come on, go down. Even and even. Butthead. This is not a very good ground. Let's try right there. You guessed it. This is in fact a hammer. Something's got this thing all cranky. Voila! Bring in for a closer look. Before, after. So now that's all nice and one with the cab, almost like it never happened. Now we're going to do the other side, and then we can grind all this stuff down. Yep. Then we can grind all this stuff down and get some sound deadener in this thing. All right, we are going to get some primer on this. We got all those done. Down on the other side, all the trim holes on the cab, all the way around, down to these guys. Time to hit this with some primer. Let that set up while I eat some lunch. Start putting that sound deadener in. All right, so we're gonna get this sound deadener in. We're using Kilmat. I think it's the 80. I'll link it in the description if you guys want to use the same stuff. It's not very thick, but it makes a huge difference. So this is one of those steps where a lot of people just slap stuff on however they can, and that's fine. It works fine that way. It's not going to work any better the way that I do it. But as I say with a lot of things, the difference between something looking like super nice and dialed and finished and all that is just in those little tiny steps that most people skip. So we're not going to put that up there all haphazard. We're going to line them up so that even though it's going to be covered real soon, if you go under it and you look up, all of this stuff is lined up. It's another one of those, like, get the little tiny things right and the rest will follow. Instead of snowballing into junk, you can snowball into greatness. So we're going to get this lined up. I'm going to do my best to center it so that everything is nice and symmetrical rolling through. I'll jump in with some tips and tricks on how to do this, but the basic gist is step one, clean your surface that you're going to put it on, whether it's your floor or your wheel wells or your roof, whatever. Get it good and clean, no dirt, no dust, so that this stuff has something good to stick to. And then get you some rollers. These ones have bearings in them, so they roll really nice, and they come in kits a lot of times. So you got different sizes. The big ones are nice for big flat areas, which is pretty much all this roof is. But if you're doing like a floor and you're going over transmission tunnels and stuff, these thinner ones, especially this guy, is fantastic for doing corners. So we're gonna get it up there. You just kind of start with the front, same as like putting stickers on. Work your way back so you don't get a ton of air bubbles, and then roll it down, and then do the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. So what I like to do is not just peel the whole thing off. We're going to peel a chunk of it off so that we can kind of roll this up there. So that way, sorry, you can't hear me. So that way we can put it up there and it's not, the whole thing's not going to stick. And then you can work it back as you're going. we want this to be centered and square. Needs to be over a little bit more. A little bit more. And I'm not going all the way to the edge. I'm leaving, you know, like a finger little gap there so I can tape it, or if I ever need to do like some welding or anything right there. Peeling this stuff off and getting it clean enough to weld is a freaking nightmare. Ask me how I know. So we're just going to leave ourselves a little border all the way around. I'm going to go around. I'm leaving these holes open in case I ever want to pass some wires through my A-pillar, because you can come in here, run them up through your A-pillar into here, because this is all going to be aluminum paneled. And then we'll have our center console down the middle with our touch panel to control all the stuff inside, all our lights, seat heaters, all that stuff will be through this panel. And then this one down here will control all the outside stuff, your winch, your lights, lockers, air compressors, all that stuff. So I think actually I'm going to put these all on and then I'll roll it when it's all on. Get a knife. I want to leave this hole open because later we're going to run our wiring for this switch panel from this side, because our inverter and our control box and fuses and all that stuff for the inside wiring is going to go here, and then we'll run it up through here and into there and down here and over to the panel. But I don't know if you can see from there, but like, you see how like distracting that would look? Or if we're like that, and then one's like that, it just doesn't look very good. Oh, good, look at that. See, even the words line up. At least they did on that piece. Well, now that one of these lined up, I'm going to be a tweaker about all of them. So, that one lines up good there. Allergies are killing me. But you see what I mean? Tiny bit of extra effort and it like levels your thing up. Right. So realistically, for this to be effective, if I trim out to these very edges anymore, it's not going to make it work any better at this point. So we're going to roll this down, and I'm going to leave this lip around the edge so that it's easy to be hidden by the roll cage. So if you're like up here, even though it fits really tight, like if you look up in there, you don't see this weird shiny silver poking down at you. Roll her down. And with doing this, this is part of why you want ones with good bearings, is you don't need to like try to push through your ceiling or anything like that, but you want good, firm, consistent pressure. And you'll see like all these little squares that are on here, these are all going to disappear. All the little, well, you can't see it from there, but all these little bubble raised squares, those are all going to disappear, and this is going to be flat. And we still have a ton of this for everything else we're going to sound deaden on this, like later when we open them up. We're going to sound deaden as we do stuff, right? So we'll get in the doors, we'll get in here. I'll probably just do this front section because eventually we're going to stretch the wheelbase on this guy some more. And I'm going to have to open up the back half of these to move my wheel wells. Not back, but I'm going to stretch them. Because we'll probably end up going bigger tires at that point too. So and when you're doing this, try not to drag this on there, because it will. This foil's super thin, it'll rip. And you don't want that. You just want it pressed down all the way. So like I was doing, roll a little section, take it off, line it up, roll a little section, take it off, line it up, rinse and repeat for the next 3 hours. I'm kidding. This goes pretty quick. So then after you roll a section too, feel it, and you'll feel like right here is a little high spot where it didn't quite stick down all the way. You need to go over it again. So we'll roll the whole thing, go over it, and I'll bring you back when it's done and show you. You see why it's worth the extra, what was that, extra 2 minutes to line everything up right? You guys see what I'm talking about though, by lining everything up? It's like it's all one piece, the way it should be. Well, we are going on a like 4 or 5 hour side quest here, because you know how I've been looking for some hard to find stuff for Mr. Jones. Well, I found some of it, but it's a drive. So cruising over there to hopefully get that if it's in the condition that it looks like. So wish me luck. Although, really, by the time you see this, I'll either have it or I'll be pulling an empty trailer home. We'll find out. Well, we're almost there. Got about 30 more minutes. And then check stuff out. Hopefully load it up. And then another 2.5 hours, we're right back home. So that I can get up at 5 a.m. tomorrow to go to the gym and go to work. Yay! Oh, there she is, boys. There's our new project. Oh. There's our new project. So this little nugget back here is a late 70s Datsun 620 King cab, so that I got legroom. And that is going to be Mr. Jones. I know everyone's thinking Mr. Jones is an S10. Wrong. Mr. Jones is a Datsun 620 with a service bed slammed on the ground. The S10 just came with the service bed that I pulled out of the blackberry bushes. I don't really care about that moldy piece of junk. So we got about 2.5 hours of cruising back home with that bad mamma jamma in tow. So we will see you when we're further along on the way. I'm starving, Marvin. I gotta get some food, man. Made it home. So, we got Merle just about ready to put the cage back in. I still got to finish buttoning up the wiring and a couple little things. But, as you just saw, we kind of had some developments happen that I wasn't really planning on and I had to account for. So, if you've been here for a while, you remember Mr. Jones. I drug him home out of a blackberry bush, and I've been saying for a while, there's some parts that I'm looking for Mr. Jones. So, Mr. Jones, meet parts. Think of it as like Mama and Daddy. You see, Mr. Jones, I bought for the service bed because mini truck service beds are rare as hen's teeth. Came with this whole moldy, raccoon-infested frickin' truck. So, the plan from the get-go was Datsun 510 King Cab, service bed, turbo, but we're not going to tackle this project until Merle needs to go wheeling. We need to be able to use him all summer long. So Merle's not ever going to go anywhere. Don't you fret. We got a summer full of wheeling. We're going to go Rubicon, Fordyce, all that stuff. I've got that whole training and everything to go into Merle. After I want to do the Rubicon and Fordyce with the drivetrain that's in it before we add in like the 4-to-1 underdrive and the twin stick 205 and all that stuff, so we can kind of do like a back-to-back comparison on video with the rest of the truck being set up exactly the same. So once Merle's together in wheeling, we will go in depth. What crazy plan I've got formulated here to marry these two mini trucks into one really sweet Venturi Fab official super dope shop truck. This will be our fabrication project moving forward. I'm not going to go too far into the details. This deserves its own video, but I got it with a bunch of spare panels, spare door. This door's a little bit rusty, but like the rockers and the floor's solid. You can check out the inside of this thing. As far as these like 70s Japanese trucks go, man, this thing's pretty straight and clean. The dash is only a little bit cracked, but like you can kind of see there, the floors are solid, the rockers are solid. I've wanted one of these little trucks like forever, and this part's great. Even though it's an extended cab, oh, dude, it's like a clown car. So remember, if you don't start building the weird stuff you've thought about for years and years and years, you'll never get finished.